It's the Bison Football Show. Valley News Live and Gate City Bank present the Bison Football Show with head coach Chris Klyman.
You better believe it, the Bison made history this weekend. They're the only college football team at any level to win 5 straight championships, and they did it with one of their finest performances to date. It has made the entire nation pause to reflect on greatness, and there is no end in sight, Bison Nation. Welcome to the show, the post-Frisco Bison Football Show, Part 5. Coach Klyman is en route to the National Coaches Convention and is not here with us this morning, but we do have him on tape reflecting on what has happened. In the next half hour, I will try to give an exclamation point to what is a stunning display of power and greatness by NDSU football. Our first order of business is to recap the game, look at the highlights, and the video proof of the greatness of North Dakota native Carson Wentz. Wow, was he special. A great performance because Jacksonville State #1 in the country, folks. They had not lost to an FCS team, and the Bison flat out dominated them. 379 to 204. Look at that time of possession. That's Bison football right there. Well, as we head out this season, we're going to end with our Gate City Bank hot seat. Of course, Carson Wentz. All right, Carson, who's your favorite pro team in any sport?
Minnesota Vikings.
Okay. Minority on this team, huh?
Well, I don't know.
About 50-50?
About 50-50, yeah.
Who would you describe as your hero?
Probably Brett Favre.
Okay.
Yep.
What's your favorite sport other than football?
Probably baseball.
Name something you are bad at.
Dancing. Not good at it. It's
what
not
drives
pretty.
you crazy about your roommates?
When they don't do the dishes, it's a big pet peeve. Leaves a mess everywhere.
Not a lot of traffic in Bismarck, but if you are in traffic, are you patient or do you get frustrated?
Usually frustrated.
Why do you like Fargo and North Dakota in general?
I just love how friendly everybody is around here, and then the ability to get outdoors and go hunting and everything. I'm a big fan of that.
What do you like most about the Bison coaching staff?
They're really approachable, a lot of fun. They like to have a lot of fun. They're easy to get along with.
What's the one thing people don't know about you?
I was born in Raleigh, North Carolina. Lived there till I was about 4, so.
Wow, I did not know that. That's a good one.
There you go.
All right, thanks, Carson.
You bet.
All right. Welcome back to the Post-Bison Frisco Show. NDSU once again turned Frisco, Texas into a sea of green and gold, and once again has served notice to the FCS world that the Bison own the division and the title runs through Fargo indefinitely. It was also loud and clear that the Bison had a top-flight NFL quarterback in uniform. The Nodak Mutual Insurance player of the game in Frisco was Carson Wentz.
Kind of had the first game jitters for me a little bit, just with the emotions and the excitement and the anxiety setting in with that. Sleeping last night was kind of a pain in the butt. But I love this game so much, and I was just so thankful to get an opportunity with these guys and to go out the right way. And just the emotions were just a lot of fun. A lot of fun was had.
That is for sure. Well, there was a lot of raw emotion in the locker room and on the field after the game. The Bison players were glowing. A noticeable satisfaction and sense of accomplishment was all over their face. These guys went through a ton of adversity this year and still rose to the top at the end. Let's revisit some of this emotion.
Oh my gosh, it was unreal. It's kind of a storybook ending to have to sit out like that and finally get a chance to play, but it was worth it. Unbelievable. I'm even upset right now. I can't stop smiling. These seniors are unbelievable. I got to thank all of them. Look at this place. That's how it feels. Bison Nation, baby, 5 of them. It's unreal to think that we won 5 national championships in a row. It's an amazing feeling.
Going throughout the year, I knew this team had something special that we could put out on the field. And now just winning every single game through the playoffs, overcoming adversity just means so much now.
It's been unbelievable. I can't say enough about how this program has just changed me and affected my life. And best decision I ever made is coming to North Dakota State. I mean, look at all the fans that we have here. This is the definition of Bison pride, and I would do this a million times over. I would never make a different decision.
Feels unbelievable. There's no other way we'd want to send off these seniors. 5 straight, so it's just an incredible feeling.
All the guys are so grateful to be part of the program here in North Dakota, but being homegrown, I like to call it. I think it's really special, and I like the fans and the family that I have is close to home. The support is just amazing, and it's great to be a part of the state and this program.
What a group of guys. Well, right below the head coach is 2 coordinators who flat out got the job done this year. I personally have never seen a team improve so much within a season. Tim Polasek and Matt Entz deserve a lot of credit for what transpired this year in Frisco.
I'm not going to pretend to try to put words on it. I just know this. It's the first time it's ever been done. Naysayers or whatever, however you want to dice that up, we had to overcome some adversity this year, which makes it a pretty cool deal.
It goes to our players, our seniors that we have this year. All those guys, all they know is championships, conference championships, national championships.
Last night, just challenged them once again, and I guess there hasn't been too many times they haven't answered the bell.
We say, hey, we're going to be better tomorrow than we were against Richmond. And everyone was in agreement. Coach, that's what we do. That's how we got here. And they've bought into the message.
Back to the top, though, Chris Klyman. I know he didn't win Coach of the Year, but he should have. An opening loss, a mid-season loss, a major injury, the return of Wentz, how he handled everything was simply masterful. After the game, Coach Klyman and Jacksonville State coach John Gross reflected on what transpired in Frisco.
Well, it is. It's remarkable, the 5 titles. I can't put it into words. I'm hoping someday I'll be able to. But it's remarkable what these guys have done.
Take my hat off to North Dakota State. They played a great game and played really well, and they've been here for a reason. They're that good, and
I think we had the best defense in all of FCS football this year without question, especially as the season wound down.
Just commended him. I still say I was glad he got to play the game, his last college game, and he's definitely a top 5 quarterback going into the draft. He had a great day,
and so happy for Carson to come in and play the way he did. I know a lot of people maybe questioned if he would be rusty. I didn't question it at all.
Take my hat off to North Dakota State. They 5 in a row. It's a pretty special deal for them to have done that.
We lost a couple of football games and lost the best quarterback in college football, not FCS, in college football. And people thought we're out. And we had a young quarterback play phenomenal football, and we ran the ball well, and we played great defense, and then we were able to come back and win in the playoffs. It's amazing what we've been able to do.
Amazing is a good word for it. Well, we went further in depth with Coach after the press conferences before he departed the stadium. Here's Brian Shawn with a one-on-one with Coach.
All right, Jeremy, thank you so much. Here with head coach Chris Klyman. And Coach, no team in the history of college football have ever won 5 straight national championships at any level, D3, D2, whatever. To be the first program to accomplish that after all the great teams and programs there's been, how do you put that into words? How do you describe it?
I wish I could tell you. It hasn't hit me, but yet some of it has. It's remarkable what these guys have done and how long we've practiced and how many games we've played over 5 years. It's something I'll look back on as my career continues on, and maybe even 20 years or something when I'm retired, and say, holy cow, look what those guys did, and how remarkable it is, and how much I'm happy for those players in the locker room.
I know at the end of the day it comes down to execution, and I know it's a long season, but really, you can talk about matchups, this and that, but it really comes down to what you do and what you execute. And you guys were just came out of the gate so fast. Did you anticipate that was going to be the case, even after the long layoff?
Yeah, I thought we'd come out of the gates really fast, and we thought we had a big advantage with our offensive line and their defensive line, and I think that really proved out the first drive. I think we took 7 minutes off the clock, got a field goal, but you could tell that was just a sign of things to come because we were able to push that line of scrimmage. And then I felt we really matched up well with our defensive line. Our front four is extremely, extremely physical, and we're much faster on defense than people give us credit for. I'll put Nick DeLuca up against any linebacker in the country, FBS, FCS. Nick DeLuca is an NFL player playing inside linebacker for the Bison, and he's so fast, our entire defense so fast, and I was just really pleased with how we jumped on him quickly.
It's hard to believe. It's felt like forever ago you guys started the season at Montana. It's such a long season when you start that early, and to see the defense come around, you talked about it, but throughout the playoffs, to give up no more than 13 points to anybody throughout the playoffs. I mean, they really hit their gear. It felt like right around November, and just continued to go up, and they excelled.
Yeah, they really did. And credit to our coaches, Coach Entz and the defensive staff, for putting them in great position. And then the kids just playing with each other more and more. You know, none of those guys played with each other that first game against Montana. People didn't know what other guys' strengths and weaknesses are, and they continued to improve. And then you're right, I would say, really second half of Youngstown on, we started playing defense just lights out, and it carried over into the playoffs against every team that we kept hearing about in the playoffs was another high-powered offense, another explosive offense. And our defensive guys had a chip on their shoulder, like, you know what, we're a pretty good defense too, and they proved it over the last 5 weeks of the season.
I know you've talked about Carson so much, and this is going to be one of your final opportunities to talk about him before he takes that next step. Setting him off the way you did, the way he played, how exciting is that, especially with what the future holds for him?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I love Carson. He's been so much to the program. He's been so much to me in my early years as a head coach, and what a great leader, what a great competitor. I knew he wasn't going to be rusty today. I knew he was going to play at a high level because that's Carson Wentz, and I said it on Friday. You know, it's Carson Wentz. He's going to play at a high level. He's the smartest kid I've ever been around. He's the most competitive guy, and he's got an NFL arm, but on top of that, athleticism is what makes him so much different than everybody else.
In your second year, you talked about your first year, maybe it wasn't as good of a coaching job as you would have liked to have done in your first year. Mm-hmm. This year around, did it feel more comfortable? I mean, you've kind of come into your own here, Chris, as a head coach. You really have.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Second year is easier. I mean, as far as not easier, more comfortable for me. Not only that, but all our assistants stayed for a year or two, and that's a credit to Matt Larson and our administrative staff for making it hard for guys to leave here. We have successful football teams, so people are always asking our coaches or inquiring about our coaches for jobs. But when you play in around the Bison and get to coach these kids and stuff, and what great young men we have and how hard they play, it's hard to leave. And I credit our administrative staff for keeping them here.
The personality of this team is so different, and I think you've mentioned that in the past, and you do lose some seniors, some great kids. And what is your overall opinion on these outgoing seniors?
They've been everything that I could ask for as a head coach. They have 5 national championships. They've built a legacy that'll last forever. They've done such a great job mentoring the young guys in the locker room. We hope that those young guys that maybe just made the trip for the first time are learning so much from watching how those guys approach the game, how they approach life, how they approach everything that they do, and how they represent NDSU, the football program, the community of Fargo, and our university.
All right, Chris, thanks as always for the time. Thanks for everything this season. We really appreciate it. And, hey, we wish you the best of luck on the recruiting trail. And I know once recruiting comes and goes, maybe get a day off.
That would be nice. Thank you so much.
All right, it's Chris Klyman. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks a lot for that, Coach. A lot of great stuff left. Stay with us. Welcome back. This week's Olaf Anderson Construction feature story is a sit-down with Athletic Director Matt Larson. The Bison continue to trend up, and Matt has had a huge piece in that. His second title run as Athletic Director was special.
Matt Larson, they're playing Standing on Top of the World, a Van Halen tune, and pretty fitting.
Well, yeah, you can definitely get used to this, no doubt about it, and just so proud of our guys, our coaches, the effort they put forth this year. I think this team, more than any of the 5 national champions, the adversity they overcame at so many stages of the season, the job our coaches did, just unbelievable. I couldn't be more proud of the job that they did this year.
Last year was your first, little nerves. This year your second, little nerves. Compare the difference as far as what was inside of you.
Well, I think the biggest difference between last year and this year is being here from the beginning of the season this year, being there in preseason, watching how much time and energy our guys put in, and so it's that much sweeter, and just the relationships you build throughout the course of the season, being out on the practice field, those kinds of things, and just so happy for these guys.
As you try to keep that bar where it's at, increase it, how do you do that?
You know, the biggest thing for us is you got to continue to invest. You know, we've said all along, and we've seen it now, people are trying to catch up with the Bison. And so for us, it's to continue to invest in facilities, continue to invest in cost of attendance, and support our student athletes at the highest possible level. That's how you stay on top. And I know Bison Nation will support us in that regard.
I want to talk to you about cost of attendance. For those that may not understand it, me included, can you give me a layman's definition?
Absolutely. A scholarship used to cover 5 elements: tuition, fees, room, board, and books. And now we're allowed to actually cover some of the miscellaneous expenses in going to college: transportation, living expenses, those kinds of things, and really be able to cover the full cost while they're at NDSU. And we're going to do that across the board in all of our sports. And football is a big one, and that's where we need our fan support in the best way, is to be able to support that initiative, give an addition to what you're doing now to make sure we can support our kids at the highest level.
And I guess you started to explain it, but that's how it's going to play into keeping that bar where it's at?
Absolutely. You know, we've heard from our coaches already how much it's impacted them on the recruiting trail, and being able to tell kids that we're going to support them at the highest level. We're going to offer full cost of attendance, and we've seen it across all of our sports in terms of the recruiting process, get kids to want to come to North Dakota State.
Okay, one final question. You know what this football program's all about. Are we coming back here next year?
Boy, I'll tell you, the one thing is you can never count us out. And when you look at who we have coming back, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with next year. And you know, I think those guys are going to want to enjoy it for a couple of weeks before they get back after it. But like I said, you never can count the Bison out. And Frisco is truly becoming home to us.
Well, it's a pleasure for Valley News Live to be a part of it. And thanks. And let's make a date. We'll be here next year.
You got it, Mike. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks for that, Matt. A little different lineup for our post-Frisco show here. No future crop this week, but I personally want to thank Peterson Farm Seed for that wonderful segment throughout the course of the year, meeting those younger players. We'll wrap up the show after this. Stay with us. Our Verizon look ahead is next year's challenging schedule. We will fill that opener, and we want to thank our title game sponsors, Shields, Gate City Bank, and Sanford Health.